Looking back, you can see that the public was being groomed since 2015 to see the 2019 miniseries Surviving R. Kelly as true accounts. It wasn't just by chance that the Huffington Post reporter focused on how the public portrayed him. Before then, R. Kelly wasn't being vilified in the media or made to look like a predator with an out-of-control sexual appetite for sex. He was already on his third album since the 2008 trial. CBS, NBC, ABC, People Magazine, it wasn't even on the story like that. It was Black Radio that was on the first story and talked about it a little bit more after he was found not guilty. This is the thing. It's easy to discredit the media. All you have to do is just pay attention to them and what they're doing. Mainstream media has been caught lying so much. How can you take their word for anything? When people ask, well, what can we do to overcome white supremacy? One thing is make better choices in our personal life. Another is we got to find a way to build our own media. This way we can get better information and we can make those better choices. Going back to Black corporate media and the movie Harriet, the so-called Black media bypassed the film produced by a Black man, highlighting Black people's contributions to the world and the adversities Black people face and still face, but went all out to promote a director that made a story about Harriet Tubman that mischaracterizes slavery, had fictional characters, and made the slave master the hero. Black media tried shaming Black people into seeing it, saying, if you don't go see this movie, don't complain that our stories aren't being told. Which is kind of stupid because it really just doesn't make sense. They're telling Black people to go see a movie that fails at telling Black people's story so that we can have more stories about Black people being made. They don't show any white physical violence against Harriet Tubman. And the Black man was shown as the initiator of violence. That's not telling our story or Harriet Tubman's story. Harriet Tubman was beaten every other day by her slave masters. And no matter how many times she got beat, she was always willing to stand up for herself and other slaves. That is an important part of her story. She got a blow to her head trying to defend a slave that was trying to escape his overseer. That gave her pain in the head for the rest of her life. But it was that hit that she received by white men that made her more determined to break free. That blow to her head is what made her even more determined to get her people to the free northern states. So how can that be left out? You think Harriet Tubman wanted her story told that way? I read an article in reference to Bill Cosby and R. Kelly that said Black people care more about race than victims, and they're playing the race card. This is mainstream media trying to deflect from the fact that Black men are the only ones doing time. Charlie Rose, Les Moonves, Harvey Weinstein, Donald Trump, and 100 other white men in entertainment are not being eyeballed, and their charges are getting dropped. R. Kelly has been in jail for about 3 months. Meanwhile, it's been over 2 years, and they still haven't decided what charges they're going to give Weinstein. They are Black people on the payroll willing to help white media maintain the status quo. Letting go of the idea that corporate media is serving your best interest in any way will do everyone good. Choose media that empowers you. Corporate media is not that. 9 out of 10 news stories are controlled by 5 corporations. It's the propaganda arm of white supremacy and an enemy to the people. The presidential debates are controlled by the media. There are issues that candidates aren't given the opportunity to discuss, like the enormous rise in prescription meds. Every major media outlet and newspaper share at least one board member with pharmaceutical companies. Corporate media isn't going to let anyone address corruption in the pharmaceutical industry because they can't. Just looking at the stories that corporate media refuses to bring you, how can it hold any credibility? The job of corporate media is to shape public opinion and tell you who you are and maintain the status quo. In other words, maintain white power. Knowing that, dismissing what they have to say becomes easier. They alter and make up stories to portray Black people as wicked and threatening. Recognizing their patterns and knowing their tactics helps us avoid the traps, and it helps us counteract them, and it helps to destroy their power. They tell you drama sells because that's what they're selling you. Corporate media presents you with celebrity gossip, reality shows, the messy relationships between politicians, and who's on the best dress list, and then convince you that this is what the people want and you should care about. Black mouthpieces for corporate media are there to control the public mind, tell you who you are, and help the powerful maintain power. They are not there to speak on or for our best interest. Question anything coming from corporate media. Corporate black publications, networks, mouthpieces, they teach you that you only need to be concerned with looking fly. Prioritize shoes, partying, and eating junk food. Overlook the ethnic cleansing taking place by the system that's economically strangling you and allowing poisons in your food. Their job is to have you ignore your conditions and have you thinking that, oh, just vote Trump out and everything will be okay. You just got to get racist Trump out of office and it will be all right. TBA said it best. Integration didn't deliver us into a new world. As promised, it delivered us into a burning house. And black corporate media will never bring you that story. They're not allowed to, and they don't care to. Hidden Colors 5 was the #1 selling documentary on Amazon for weeks, staying in the top 10. Now it's number 15 of top selling documentaries on Amazon. Mainstream media hasn't said anything about it. And it's safe to say that it's because he used black truth to counteract white lies. Both the documentary and director were banned in the UK. And it just shows how far white supremacy will go to keep the white value system in place. I figured it was chapter 3 that signaled the alarm that made them triggered this ban. If you saw Hidden Colors 5, share your thoughts on what part, if any, you felt triggered the UK ban. Black corporate media hasn't covered the movie either. Black Entertainment TV, TV One, Ebony, Essence, The Root, Black Enterprise, or no other media outlet that targets blacks said anything about Hidden Colors 5. None of the outlets are promoting it. How did an outstanding film produced by a black man that features black historians, black celebrities, and black educators go past their radar? It's not like they don't know who Tariq Nasheed is. They blamed him for the lack of black Democratic support in the 2016 elections. And News One, after overlooking his #1 selling documentary, blamed him for the Harriet movie being a flop. And I'm going to come back to that Harriet movie. In 2015, a writer for Madame Noir did a hit piece on R. Kelly, and she used some of Nasheed's tweets addressing the Huffington Post reporter Carolyn Terani. I'm not sure how to pronounce her name, but they used his tweets that he addressing that reporter for being rude to R. Kelly, but they used it to discredit Nasheed. So the writer referred to him as an anti-black, hater of black women, and someone who can't be trusted. And the article was trash. It was just an article designed to just throw mud at R. Kelly. The black writer was doing what she was paid to do: defend the establishment, help shape public opinion, maintain the status quo. And she did it by deflecting from Terani's shady behavior and using Tariq's tweets to shame and discredit anyone in support of R. Kelly. And she admitted to being willing to help white media shape the public's opinion of black people when she responded to one of Tariq's tweets with, "I don't know what the Negro Shaming Committee is, but for those who do, are they accepting applications?" Contrary to what Candace Owens says, black people haven't moved since slavery. Brown skin is still a stigma. Black people are still a targeted group. White supremacy is still making big bucks off of systemic racism. And black people as a group have no wealth, and murdering black people is normalized and accepted. Black boys are being murdered just for walking down the street. Trayvon Martin, Laquan McDonald. And the dominant society protects their murderer, and society accepts it. Because black people getting murdered is the norm. Corporate media puts money behind music promoting black people getting killed and using black people to market it. Corporations will further exalt a rapper that talks about selling drugs and killing black people by giving him an endorsement deal, promoting him on every talk show. Then that same corporation will pull out of a deal with that same rapper for saying something slick about gay people and say something along the lines of, "That goes against the integrity of our company." But rapping about murdering black people selling drugs doesn't go against the integrity of their company. It's okay because it's the norm. It's the norm in 2019, and it's been the norm since slavery. Point blank, period. Using being able to work in an office with white people, shop in their stores, sit in a white-owned restaurant to measure how far black people have come or how improved the conditions are is dangerous because black people can marry white people, schools are somewhat integrated, and there are more blacks on TV. It looks like things have gotten better. The reality is it's just more comfortable, and there's just more opportunity to make money to spend with the white-owned businesses and corporations. Candace Owens knew she was lying when she said racism didn't exist before Obama, because before Obama, she won $37,000 in a lawsuit because white boys were using racial slurs and calling her a nigger when she was 18 years old. Black people in the media like Candace Owens are dangerous. Avenatti used the media to crowdsource information and demonize these celebrities. Lisa Bloom used the media to discredit people. She was accused of offering a journalist reporting on Weinstein oppositional research on Rose McGowan, and she was caught trying to discredit Kim Masters. She was the editor at large for the Hollywood Reporter. I mean, she might still be. I don't know. At the time of Roy Price's sexual harassment allegations, so that other media outlets wouldn't run her story about him. She denied scheming to undermine the accusers and the story. Gloria Allred, another media darling, targets black men, and she's honored for it. She said R. Kelly was the worst predator out there. When Jeffrey Epstein was indicted, Gloria Allred was silent. Tawana Burke, silent. They've been silent on the Jason Roger Pope story. That's the 42-year-old white dude that has been arrested for prostituting minors, and it was said that he was targeting black girls, lured them with concert tickets and chances to meet rappers so that he can infect them with AIDS. He bragged about his body count on social media. This story is getting little media attention. It has no traction. Where's Me Too and Time's Up? It's clear that these organizations are media projects. They're not really going after sexual predators. Where are all the people that claim to be looking out for the young black girls? Because when you read the comments on when it comes to R. Kelly, the females are all victims. But the victims of Jason Roger Pope are just 13-year-old slutty whores. I have to tell you guys this, okay? I just recorded this commentary that I'm about to do. This is my second time doing a commentary. I'm talking, I'm going fast, I'm flowing. And it wasn't recording. I said, oh my goodness. And I'm going to talk fast because I only have a couple of minutes to do this before the kid gets back. He's out riding a bike and all of that. So, hey, thanks to everybody for listening, giving a thumbs up, subscribing, and commenting. I appreciate y'all leaving comments. Thank God for no rude and vulgar conversations in the comment section. I'm grateful for that. People have been keeping it intelligent and classy. I got to thank all y'all that came back to this channel after nothing being on it for almost a month now. Y'all are a special breed. People stop checking for you quick, fast when you don't keep it fresh and new. Not posting on social media on a regular is the best way to make yourself obscure and irrelevant. And I hate that it takes me so long to post. I do want to keep it coming fast. And I sometimes feel the need to apologize. Like, I'm sorry, guys, that I haven't come back, because you want to just keep good information flowing. I want to multiply the good messages, the messages out there that empower you, because there's so much being thrown at us to lead us to be consumers, to build us up to be consumers. So, like there's this thing going around about the vegan baby dying. Well, the baby wasn't vegan, but the parents being vegan and the baby dying. But it's not because they're vegan. It's because they're malnutrition. They're going to pump that up because they want you to feel like, oh no, vegan's not the way to go. They want that meat industry still going so that they can continue cloning animals and feeding them to you and putting all the antibiotics in the animals. And it's just a mess with that meat situation, but I'm not even going to get into it. I'm not a vegan, but I do believe that that is one of the best ways that we should be going because of what's happening with the food nowadays. So people will say, oh, well, my grandparents been eating pork since I was, for years. Yeah, they weren't eating the same thing that people are eating today. So, I want to multiply those messages that empower us, that make us strong, that make us make better choices, that help us to live a life that we love. In the last commentary, I talked about the holidays and how I haven't celebrated them. A lot of you guys left comments saying that you haven't celebrated holidays in years. And the thing is that it was easy for me to ignore holidays when I was by myself. Now that I have a kid, I really can't just ignore the holidays and allow the system to indoctrinate him into the holidays anyway. So I want to assign meaning to them or create new traditions. So I need some ideas. So anyone that has done that has created new traditions and things that they do to reflect Black culture and instill pride in kids, leave your ideas you may inspire someone else, and it's just a good thing to do that. Help us be different. For Veterans Day, I decided, okay, I'm going to call that Ancestors Day. And I had to come up with that idea on Veterans Day. I didn't know what to do. And I was like, okay, let me think about how this is going to work. And maybe I'll talk about that in another commentary, because I have a lot that I want to say in this one. And I usually like to keep it short, just give you just a dose of information so that it's not overwhelming. But this one, and this is what happens when you have it backed up. I'm taking notes of things I want to say, and now I have like a whole hour probably. But no, I'm going to try to make it shorter than an hour. Okay, so just recently I came back from another state. I was visiting Houston. My Ace Boone Coon lives there. We have the same birthday, so we were celebrating our birthday together. And while there, I met an intelligent young woman who 100% believed that R. Kelly should be sitting in jail right now. She believed that he scouts out 13 and 14-year-olds and brainwashes them. When I brought up the fact that all the supposed victims were proven not credible, she brought up victim shaming. Even though this woman was intelligent, her entire argument was based on accusations, rumors, and mainstream media's talking points. No facts. She was unaware of all the lies from the so-called victims. She was unaware of the crooked dealings of the prosecutors involved, and she quoted R. Kelly as saying things that he didn't say. And that's the power of corporate media. Corporate media successfully convinced millions of people that R. Kelly is a sexual predator and has abducted young girls. And they did this by purposely passing over relevant facts and continually pushing rumors, lies, and irrelevant facts. They gave you headline after headline. And when you hear so much for so long, it sinks in. That's why you have people out here that are saying, we've known about R. Kelly for years. What have you really known about R. Kelly for years besides he's making hit records and what the media told you? And on the most part, I have no patience for simpletons out here that just repeat the media's talking points. Like, there are decades of allegations against R. Kelly. And I usually just hope that they won't be the people on a jury. But this lady wasn't a simpleton. She's capable of critical thinking. She's knowledgeable. And she was convinced by what was presented to her by the media, because we're taught to trust the media. We're taught that this is where we go to get the news, to know what's happening in the world. Even though I presented the fact that none of the women accusing him are credible, neither are the prosecutors coming for him, and most of what she was arguing could not be proven, she still held her stance that he's a dirty dog that should be jailed. And she said, no, I'm not going to agree with you on this. And it wasn't so much about her agreeing with me. It was just that I wanted her to see that what she was calling evidence was really just opinions. They were not facts. It wasn't really evidence that he did this. And that's what we're up against. So that is what the media has done. They got people to make up their minds that he's guilty based on a little bit of information that they made appear to be a lot of information. So when I saw people online advocating for him and taking down the lies, I took comfort in that. It was good to see people combating media lies intelligently, dissecting the documentary and bringing attention to the legality of what's happening. I mentioned some of the people on this channel and suggested that people go check them out. But then I ended up regretting that, because many of the R. Kelly advocates, or the 4Kells, whatever they want to call themselves, they're too focused on what other vloggers are doing, and they aren't counteracting mainstream media's story. They're getting into spats with other vloggers, name calling, they're talking reckless, they're all in their emotions trying to prove how intelligent they are, how stupid someone else is, and why they are the number one stunner. Listening to some vloggers in their ego cracking on another vlogger for 10 minutes is not using my time efficiently. And I would not lead somebody else to listen to someone and not use your time efficiently. The whole point is really that they're not being effective in changing anybody's mind. When I give my time to listen to what somebody has to say about R. Kelly, I want news that I can use, information that helps discredit the media and the predators that are after him. Talking about some other vlogger that just doesn't like R. Kelly or that's talking bad about him, that is a waste of time. The general public does not know who that small-time vlogger is. To change the public perception, you have to change the perception about the source bringing it to you. The narrative of the story. If you want people to see the injustice, point out the injustice, discredit the media, the so-called victims and the prosecutors. Constantly criticizing, airing out black people's faults. That's that off-code nonsense Nelly Fuller Jr. talks about. He said black people don't do togetherness well because we've been well poisoned, and all of us have been affected by that poison to go at each other. Me knowing that just makes me say we got to heal. We have to heal ourselves. Dick Gregory was right. He said, stop being so emotional. Stop getting so riled up over things that you can't or won't do nothing about. Control your emotions. Can we stay focused on achieving the same goal? Give each other a little more than just cracking on each other? Can we do better than hostile criticism? When people see that behavior, it makes it appear true that black people can't work together. CBS has loads of resources and reaches millions of viewers, just as all the other major networks do. NBC is now calling out CBS. The networks operate together. And you see this with the Jeffrey Epstein situation. There were no reports about Jeffrey Epstein's funeral by the major media outlets, no interviews with any people that had contact with him, that were involved with him, or any that might have shed some tears over him being gone. A minor media site reported that his brother buried him next to his parents in an unmarked grave to prevent vandalism. So when I read that, I thought, even in death, he's still being protected. 2 days before his death, he signed a pour-over will that signs over all of his assets into a private trust, not open to the public, and administered by trustees. But a probate court, which exclusively handles the distribution of estates and other family matters, decides if it goes into effect. There's no public access to the paper trail, and so they're pretty much telling you, you don't need this information. Now, if he didn't make a will, his brother Mark would have got the money and he would have been liable for the lawsuits from the victims. So we see the evidence of the media covering up so much with the Jeffrey Epstein case and even downplaying other people's involvement with pedophilia. Jeffrey Epstein's timely death made it easy for 100 or more white men's sexual deviance to go unnoticed and unchecked. Why were the feds going back for documents when all evidence should have been seized at the time of his arrest? One of the accusers, said that his girl pal Ghislaine did not only recruit the girls, she participated in the sexual acts. And the media is dismissing it. Epstein rubbed elbows with the elite, the leaders of Google, Amazon, Tesla, after they knew he was a pedophile. In 2011, Jeffrey Epstein was a known sex offender, and Jeff Bezos and Bill Gates dined with him anyway. The media didn't come after them, yet any person, especially any black person that voiced any support of Bill Cosby or R. Kelly, was attacked. The media protects the privileged class. And if that means that many men are going to get away with pedophilia and assaulting young girls just so that they can protect the privileged class and so that these people can remain prominent, they will do it. The coroner saying that it looks like murder, not suicide, just confirmed what we all suspected. Now they're releasing reports that 2 prison guards have been arrested for failing to watch Jeffrey Epstein when he was on suicide watch. That whole thing just sounds wrong because it's not protocol for a warden to take his eyes off someone on suicide watch because they won't be up for promotion. The warden had his eyes off because he was never on suicide watch. The suicide watch was fake news. Expect a plea bargain and that the case is closed. Before the Amy Robach video was leaked, the media was telling you Epstein's dead, it's over, it's nothing left to see. Now all the media outlets want to interview the victims and act like they care. CNN didn't even run the story of the leaked video, exposing ABC for not running Robach's expose on Jeffrey Epstein 3 years back. CBS fired a staffer that used to work at ABC for leaking the story, even though Veritas, the people who leaked the story, said that it wasn't this person. ABC's reason for not covering the Epstein story was, at the time, not all reporting met our standards to air, but we have never stopped investigating the story. This sounds really similar to the same reasons that NBC gave Ronan Farrow for not doing his expose on Harvey Weinstein. Amy Robach scaled back, saying that no one ever has told her to stop running the story on Jeff Epstein and that they continue to actively pursue it. She was just upset that the story couldn't air because they didn't have sufficient collaborating evidence to meet their editorial standards. You know, she downplayed the whole thing. She downplayed Bill Clinton and Prince Andrew being involved by saying that she was just referencing the allegations made by the alleged victim, not what ABC has verified through their reporting. And so then she goes on to say, while it disappointed, it didn't air, it just didn't meet their standards. That was totally different from what she was saying in the leaked video. She was venting that she had the story for 3 years and ABC deaded it, saying it was stupid, no one knows who Epstein is, there isn't enough evidence. She said that the palace threatened them in a million different ways once that they became aware of the fact that someone at the network was looking into the allegations against Prince Andrew. So she says that ABC was so afraid that they wouldn't be able to interview Kate Middleton and Prince William, because I think that's when they were getting married, that's why they didn't do the story. George Stephanopoulos is an ABC bigwig, and he was also named as an associate of Epstein. So it's no surprise that Robach's story was quashed, as she says. Media moguls work together and for themselves. We can learn a lot from them. Their go-to tactics are discredit, dismiss, demonize, and destroy, especially the black man. And that's what I would love to do. Discredit, dismiss, demonize, and destroy the media, because destroying the media's power takes power away from predators like Gloria Allred, Lisa Bloom, and Michael Avenatti. They all use the media to their advantage. Michael Avenatti is a fraud that forged Stormy Daniels' signature and told the people making a book deal with her to send the money to him. He robbed a client, a blind paraplegic that was described as mentally ill, for millions so that he can buy a private jet. He's a bottom feeder that has run his firm into bankruptcy. He has been accused of tax evasion, embezzlement, perjury, and extortion. Now that he's exposed, he's claiming to be a victim of a political witch hunt. The media elevated Avenatti, and that's why you don't hear them talking about him. You don't find it strange that after he was quoted saying, whether it's R. Kelly or Trump, the list goes on, but 10% of it is actually going to be true. And then what's going to happen is that this is going to snowball. This is what he said. And after that, the media still presented him doing another press conference going after R. Kelly and not attacking Avenatti's credibility. All in all, if you're tired of just watching black people get murdered, cops getting off and civilians getting off for murdering black people, if you're just tired of being second-class citizens, I don't even know if you could say black people are second-class citizens in the society we live in. We're like really at the bottom of the pile. And if you're sick of all of that, it's time to make changes. It's time to make better choices. And on that note, I'm going to just say take it in and win. See you on the next commentary. Thanks for listening.